Hiya, and welcome back to Arches, the game that teaches us that gays in my gay visual novel? Why? Just kidding, we love them. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Okay, I swear to God, I just heard my fucking neighbor moan. I heard something, and I don't know what it was. Somehow, this seemingly innocuous patch of trees is even more ominous during the day. Artie? Dev whispers loudly into the trees, holding Cameron's paw as they descend into the ditch and over onto the forest side. They only take a few steps into the trees before Artie calls back. Yo, just taking a whiz. Figured you guys wouldn't want me staring. Dude. Shut up. Devon continues to shout whisper. What's up? Devon can see movement from Artie now, some of the bushes about 10 feet ahead of them shifting. This is where the shotgun hick yelled at us. Oh, well, I'm almost done anyway. Dev sighs and notices Cameron with his ears low, looking anxious. You alright, baby? Do you hear, radio static? It's really loud. Dev listens, but only hears some wind through the trees. I think it's just the leaves, honey. But then there is something. Maybe what could be described as static. Actually... Jesus! He jumps as his phone's notification sound goes off. Well, I definitely heard that. I do think it's just the wind, but I'm hearing it too. He takes his phone out, seeing that an email managed to get through. Ah, fuck. Important booking... Hang on.
Important booking information. Due to the ongoing public health emergency, all reservations have been canceled. We sincerely apologize.
The notification banner cuts out there, and the surreal message makes Devon feel like they're isolated from the world now more than ever. He wonders if he should try to call the police, even though he still only has one bar. At this point, he'd be willing to just let the authorities know that they're stranded before anything else can happen. And something out of the corner of his eye catches his attention. Looks like the wall of a structure of some kind, beige and peeling. Hard to see through all the leaves and branches. Devon holds up his paw in front of Cameron, signaling for him to stay put before taking a few cautious steps further into the forest. He thinks it's a trailer, one that looks so run down that he wouldn't be surprised if it's abandoned. What unsettles him is that it's buried so deep behind the trees. It's like it's meant to be hidden. He can try to make a call further down the road away from whatever that is. I'm here, no need to check on me. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna try to make a call on the road, but we're going straight. The look on Artie's face makes the bear pause. What the fuck? His voice is quiet, but his tone is one of confusion and shock, staring over Dev's shoulder. Devon feels dread creep over him, not sure how something else could be happening right now. Something so terrible that Artie has that look. Cameron stands where he left him. Oddly enough, he doesn't even seem to be paying attention to them. He's staring up towards the trees, and Devon can see his eyes darting from left to right. His ears are laying back and twitching like he's hearing something that's too loud. His breathing is heavy, and Devon can see his chest heaving. He's panicking again, but the reason for it is clear. About a single second is all Dev has to see it, and hear it. And then it drops onto Cameron. Cameron is suffocating. Just moments ago, he'd been gasping for breath, feeling the invisible dread creep up his back, the deafening static growing in his ears. But now it's completely black, and something has its limbs all around him, fingers over his mouth and nostrils. He thrashes around, or at least he tries to. He goes through the motions, but there's no sensation of movement. A straining inhale of air drones right next to his ear, the thing pressing its head to the side of his face. Cameron begs it to let go, tries to call for help. Devon was in front of him only seconds ago. Or minutes? The voice in his head returns. Or hours? Or has it been years? It doesn't matter when you're dead. Cameron does think that he's died, or that he's in hell, because of course he'd end up there. There is no hell. This is death. This is what happens to everyone, Cameron. Cameron realizes then that it's not the thing holding on to him that's speaking to him, because now is when it starts to speak, but it's not a voice he expects. No, get away. A woman's voice. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. Cheating whore. A man's voice. A sickening thud. The tone of the static changes, and Cameron knows he's listening to something different. A different moment. He's dead. You can stop now. Nah, he's still twitching. And it continues. What sounds like someone screaming through a gag. A woman sobbing, a man begging. But then there's a shift. And though most of the voices were women, they become almost exclusively young men. If you let me go, I won't tell anyone. I swear to God. Hang on, I'm trying to read this. And it's por favor. Stop, just stop. No me mates, por favor. And the voices blend together and go on and on and on. Oh, please don't kill me. Okay, thank you. Meanwhile, Cameron goes limp, giving up, feeling as one with the voice that comes next. Why don't you just kill me? Devon watches as Cameron's body just goes limp, and though he tries to leap forward and catch him, the coyote slips to the ground at his feet. The bear instantly picks him up, or tries to. Though it's something he'd done many times before, he'd never done it while Cameron was so completely lifeless, and he struggles with the coyote's dead weight. Cameron? Cameron? He lays the coyote out on his back, hoping he just wakes up. What the fuck was that? Dude, what the hell was that thing? Whatever it was just seemed to absorb into Cameron, disappearing in an instant. Devon doesn't care. 2 days ago, he would have thought he'd give almost anything to see something like that. Now it doesn't seem to matter at all. Cameron's chest that had been heaving seconds ago isn't moving at all now. Fuck! Artie, he's not breathing, man. What do we do? Holy shit. Maybe chest compressions, right? Right? The panic is threatening to overwhelm the bear, his peripheral vision dimming, going dark, and he has to rest a paw next to Cameron's head to steady himself. He can't pass out now, otherwise Cameron would only have Artie to help him, and the cat is seemingly frozen, his fingers twisting into his head fur. Why is this even happening? Why would he just stop breathing? Devon tries to tilt Cameron's head back, straighten his torso so he can breathe. Come on! Breathe! Cam, just breathe, please! Devon rubs at Cameron's chest. It's such a desperate, useless gesture. Do you know how to do CPR? No! Dev readies himself, wishing he could remember a single useful thing from the one day he learned about CPR in high school. All he remembers is tittering with his classmates about the female mannequin's chest and how they had to touch it. His vision blurs as he uselessly places his paws, one over the other, on Cameron's chest, and then a droning, wet, ragged wheeze comes from the coyote's mouth. Oh my god, Cam! Another labored wheeze. He's breathing! He's breathing! Right. That's right, Cam. Keep going, baby. He is, but it's still strained, like something heavy is on his chest. Not sure of what else to do. Devon pulls Cameron into a sitting position, leaning the coyote against his body, and Cameron gasps. Oh, thank fucking God. Just keep breathing like that, honey. Yes! Even Artie is crying, wiping his eyes as he laughs. What just attacked him? You saw that thing, right? Or am I crazy? Devon shakes his head. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Now Devon just needs Cameron to regain consciousness so he knows he's okay for sure. Never had he seen evidence of or believed that the supernatural could physically harm the living. Let's get out of this forest, dude, in case it comes back. Yeah, alright. He's very careful with how he moves Cameron, terrified that his breathing might stop again. But as he stands cradling Cameron's in his arms, he looks up. Standing 20 feet away toward that trailer is another bear. He's holding a shotgun. Devon stares, feeling himself become oddly detached from the situation. His mind is still overwhelmed with what just happened. Can they not catch a break? Are they able to catch a break? Like, it'd be nice if they need to go on a beach vacation. They need to just leave and go on a beach vacation. Oh my god. They can't catch a break. I swear. His mind is still overwhelmed with what just happened to Cameron. That's what he wants to focus on, but the shotgun has his attention now, and for just a moment, Devon thinks about just running. If he applies logic to this situation, he assumes the other bear won't shoot, but something in his eyes. Something is off. So Devon says what he hopes will make clear to this other bear that they're not a threat. We need help. We're stranded and our friend is unconscious. The old-looking bear focuses on him for several seconds. Devon hears the rustling of dead leaves and foliage next to him as Arturo moves. Suddenly, the bear swings the shotgun around to point to Devon's right. Don't you move, boy! You know what? I'm gonna give Brian a Mickey Mouse voice. Get mad if you want. It actually fits based on what we know about Echo, because Brian has a higher pitched voice. Don't you move, boy! Huh? Hey. I'm sorry. Don't shoot. Arturo sounds terrified, his voice strained and high-pitched. The old bear stares at Artie for several seconds before pointing the shotgun down toward the ground, but only slightly. The bear gestures at the coyote. You doing something to him? What? Doing what? No, we're trying to help him. Something attacked him. We need to get him help. The older bear grimaces. What do you mean, something? Dev hesitates, at least until the gun is shifted in his direction. No, wait. I'm not waiting. You show up on my property making all kinds of sounds, and you're standing there with a knocked out yo. Huh? Hey, we didn't do anything to him. We're trying to help. The bear growls. I don't care if you're trying to help him or trying to fuck him. I want to know the truth, not that something happened. The standoff continues for a few more seconds before Dev jumps in again. I hate that it works. I hate that it works. I hate it. And I hate that I'm able to do a fucking Mickey Mouse voice. I hate it. I hate everything about it. Is my EQ... Did I fuck my EQ? I didn't fuck my EQ. Standoff continues for a few more seconds before Dev jumps in again. It was something dark, like a shadow. I called it something because I didn't get a chance to say it, but it jumped on him and disappeared. Devon realizes what he's saying as he says it, and half expects to be shot for saying something so stupid. I swear to God, that's what happened. The old bear's eyes flick to Artie, and the cat quickly throws his support behind the ridiculous statement. Yeah, that is what happened. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was there. It was dark and had red eyes or some shit. I don't even think we should be out here right now. Devon once again wants to tell Artie to shut up, but that saying more is only going to make the situation worse. But instead of getting angry again, the odd expression comes over the other bear's face, one that Devon can't quite decipher. Then he finally speaks, casually bringing the shotgun up to rest over his shoulder. And it jumped on him. That Yoda there? Yeah. Alright, so I'm guessing y'all are in some drugs or some shit. No. Using it out in the heat ain't ever a smart idea. We weren't. Devon trails off, realizing this doesn't matter at all right now. We need to get him help. He's not waking up. Devon kneels, resting Cameron on the ground as he half props him up, needing to rest his tiring arms. There's a pause in which this other bear just stares down at them. A pause that's long enough that Dev opens his mouth to speak again. That's finally when the older bear seems to break out of his trance. Shit, of course. Sorry about the gun and all. It's just that I always get a bunch of coots on my property every now and then. god, I fucking hate Brian. I fucking hate him. Devon looks up at the suddenly friendly bear. In the back of his mind, he thinks he can almost hear sirens. Very familiar sirens. Jet's not even loaded. The bear grunts as he brings the shotgun forward, pointing it back toward the ground before it seems to break in half as the stock suddenly drops down. The bear turns to show them that the barrels are empty. That actually does make Devon feel a bit better, even if the gun had been pointed at them just minutes ago. The bear then closes it with a snap. So, I think your best bet is call the proper authorities so they can get some help out here. Do you know how we can do that? There's no service here. Of course there ain't, but there is service just outside of town, to the east. Works whenever I go out there to make a call. Devon's heart leaps in his chest at the idea that there might actually be a quick way out of this situation. He looks in an eastward direction, ready to set off immediately. Hold on, it's a little ways out there, and it's a pretty specific spot. I can give you a quick ride, no more than 5 minutes. The old bear turns away and starts making his way toward the trailer. Artie glances at him, clearly uneasy about all of this. Dev is hesitant himself, because of course he would be. Anyone would be. After everything they've been through. Devon looks down at Cameron, the coyote still breathing steadily, now looking almost peaceful. Nah, shit. Still, fear grips the bear's chest. The fact that Cameron still isn't waking up is slowly increasing his worry to the point of panic again. So he sets his jaw and follows the old bear. He half expects Artie not to follow, but he does, and the 4 of them disappear further into the trees. Don't follow Brian! He's going to murder you! Cameron's agony had seemed as if it might last forever, the feeling of suffocation going on and on. But after an immeasurable amount of time, the fingers over his mouth and nostrils had dissolved into blackness. So did the voices, diminished into indistinguishable whispers. Now his breaths come slow and steady, but he has to focus on them, to consciously inhale and exhale so that it won't stop. While the experience is terrifying, the laborious nature of it almost ensures that he won't hyperventilate. After a time, the terror fades into a dull, hollow desperation, accompanied by spurts of panic each time he remembers he's somewhere he doesn't understand, and that he can't seem to escape it. Then gradually, even that dissolves, and away like a dream within a dream, it fades away. Cameron's vision is blurry at first, and it stays that way as his eyes remain mostly closed. Unfocused. Fear hitches in his chest again before he realizes that he'd been breathing normally without the need to focus on it. That's when he notices that what he can see is a bit odd. It looks kind of like himself. Cameron stares, still feeling groggy and out of it, trying to make sense of what he's seeing. It's him. But it's hard to understand why that's the case, because it feels like he's laying down. At first, the coyote wonders if maybe this is the floor near their bathroom, and that he passed out. Still, the angle is wrong, and that just leaves Cameron feeling more confused. The coyote closes his eyes again, trying to remember what happened last. He also begins to wonder why he's laying on something soft instead of the cold tile of the bathroom. Nothing makes sense, so he does the only thing he can think to do at this moment. Dev? He hears something shift around next to him. Cameron tries to clear his throat, but it's bone dry, so he swallows instead. Dev! Shit.
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
Something is pressed to his lips, and sensing that it's water, Cameron drinks, getting several swallows before it's pulled away. Cameron then looks around, getting a full view of his surroundings. The voice hadn't sounded like Dev's, but Cameron can't imagine who else it could be, and a large furry brown shape moves into view. Oh, hang on. Hold up. Brian got a glow up. He got a fucking glow up. Like, let me pull something up, so that way we have a direct comparison. Congratulations, kids. We're playing Compare and Contrast. No. We're going to play Compare and Contrast. We're going to compare and contrast some shit. So, let me pull something up. Does my microphone sound a bit compressed? Because, like, I'm able to hear my microphone output. But anyways, let me find the compare and contrast. Here is Echo Brian. A piece of shit. We don't like this. This does not spark joy. And now, Arch's Brian. As we can see, completely different. He lost the shirt and the gray sweatpants. Yeah. He lost the shirt and the gray sweatpants. It does not spark joy. Neither sparks joy. Cameron stares, at first wondering what could have possibly happened to Dev, but then he realizes what a stupid thought that is. This is a different bear altogether. He also realizes that something is definitely wrong. That either he's still dreaming or that he's in a situation he can't even begin to understand. He quickly sits up and the old bear raises a paw. Hey, it's alright, kid. I'm here to help you. The voice is higher pitched than he would have expected from such a large creature, and the coyote feels like he's heard it before, but he can't place it. Not right now, at least. I'm Brian. What about you? Cameron. Cameron responds automatically. And even though a smaller voice in the back of his head tells him this isn't right, none of this is right. Well, hi there, Cameron. You're probably wondering where the hell you are, huh? While the bear's demeanor is friendly enough, his appearance definitely isn't. Again, Cameron desperately tries to remember exactly what happened last, and where exactly he might be. He nods anyway, instinctively trying to keep up the facade that he's fine, and that he doesn't suspect that everything is wrong. Well, it's a funny story, but I heard some shouting outside, and when I went out there, I found you and your friends. You're unconscious, of course. Dev? Was he a bear? Cameron looks around hopefully, as if Dev might be there with him. It's only then that he realizes they're in a trailer, and fragments of what happened recently started to come back to him. It leaves him feeling all the more uneasy. Yeah, a bear like myself. There's a cat, too. Artie. The memories of the past day and a half come back to the coyote slowly, and with it comes a feeling of anxiety and dread. Either he's in trouble or he was in trouble, and somehow this bear is here trying to help him. Well, I didn't get his name. He ran off just as I was getting there. Where's Dev? The bear, I mean. Is he here? Yeah, about that. The bear shifts around on the bed he's sitting on, making the spring squeak. What happened is after the cat ran off and you were unconscious, your bear friend Devon, right? He decided to make a run for the highway to get you help. Cameron stays quiet as he tries to absorb that. The bear's sentences make sense technically, but at the same time it's confusing. Oh, that it is. Did he kill them? Did you commit a murder? Why would Devon leave him here alone with this bear? Now Cameron remembers that they were on a trip of some kind, a trip to Echo. The voice, the trailer. Cameron starts looking around again, trying to spot a shotgun, because now he's starting to realize who this might be. He comes up short at a complete loss. What he wants to say is that he wants to see Dev, but if what the bear said is true, then that wouldn't be possible. Does Devon know I'm here? Of course he does. Seems real worried about you. Said he would have had the cat to get help, but we're not even sure where he ran off to. Why do you run? Well... Brian pauses, seeming to think back, and also seeming hesitant to say something. Cameron tenses up, the feeling of wrongness returning. It's kind of hard to explain, but something spooked him. Recalling the events of the past few days seems to gain momentum, and now he can vaguely remember what happened just before he ended up here. He was standing in the forest, ears down, hearing that awful static. What exactly happened after that is still a bit foggy. What was it? Well, this might sound a bit crazy, but I've lived here a good while, and sometimes there's this thing in the trees that comes after me. Thing? What an odd thing to say. But then he remembers something strange right before he lost consciousness. A dark shadow dropping on top of him before he disappeared into another world, locked in that terrible embrace. A shadow. Although he says it softly, the bear clearly hears him. Cameron swallows hard, still feeling like the situation is very off, even when considering the circumstances. But Brian smiles in a way that's almost sympathetic. Did it happen to sound like static? What noise? Cameron looks at the bear carefully before he nods. Yep, I've seen it myself. Some of us can just see the things that others can't. Cameron swallows loudly. You see things too? Yeah, I always could. Don't know why. Because he's got badonkers. What the fuck is going on with my microphone? What's going on with my microphone? No, because, like, it's getting input that it shouldn't be getting. Is there some sort of, like, weird static going on? Hang on. It was the fucking filter. It was... It was the filter. It was the fucking filter. The filter that was specifically designed to prevent static. This filter. Hang on. I gotta turn on the webcam just so I can really articulate what I'm saying. This. Hang on, let me get it real close. This is a boom filter. It keeps wind and static out. It was doing the exact opposite. Thankfully, I have multiple. Let me see if this one will do better. And if I remove it... That is bullshit. That is bullshit. So I'm going to put the filter back on the other microphone, and we're just going to continue this permanently without the filter on it, I guess. Yeah, I always could. Don't know why. Through all the confusion and terror, and of all people, this bear seems to understand what Cameron is going through somehow. It creates in him a sudden sense of kinship with the bear. Then Cameron remembers his phone, quickly pulling it out and holding down the power button. The screen flickers on for just a moment before multiple vertical lines of black appear on the screen, which widens steadily before the entire display goes black. Cameron is confused, then remembers the fall in the lake, and he even sees some moisture still under the screen. Shit. Brian grunts. Your phone busted? Shame. No service out here anyway. How long ago did you leave? About 2-3 hours ago. He'd been unconscious that long? Still, the anxiety is telling Cameron to move, to go. I think I should go after him. Thanks for your help, though. Cameron suddenly stands, but a wave of dizziness comes over him. Oh, fuck! The coyote catches himself against the wall, feeling weak and confused. Whoa there, kid. I don't think you're in the best condition to go out there. You might pass out again, and that bear seemed real intent on me keeping you safe. Cameron has to lean against the wall slightly, catching his breath. He didn't realize that he's still messed up. It would make sense since he's been out for so long. It's just odd that it seems to be getting worse. Whatever that creature did to him, it felt serious. As if reading his thoughts, the bear brings up the entity. Besides, I don't think you should go out there while that shadow creature's still hanging around. Been seeing it through a window a few times. Don't want to scare you, but I think it wants you. Cameron glances up at the window nearest to them. I like how Brian just has a look that he's just done with life. He's like, oh, these damn kids. Huh? All these damn kids! Get the fuck off my lawn! Huh? Cameron glances up at the window nearest to them. Instead of the shadow, he's surprised to see Raincoat Monster just beyond the trees, partially hidden in a strange crouching position. Stranger still are the odd shivering, twitching motions the creature is making. Though its face is mostly hidden, Cameron can tell he's being looked at. Even after everything he's been through, the coyote finds himself lowering his gaze quickly. Once again, just like when he was 8 years old, he's afraid of this hallucination. Rather, he's afraid of this imitation of the hallucination, and considering that it's moving so violently, that's what this is. You see it? No, I mean, it's something else. Oh, what is it? Sometimes I see other real disturbing things and stuff in the woods. Most places in this town, actually. It's something more personal. Cameron is caught between wanting to stay cautious of this man, but also wanting to confide in him. After the trauma of the past 2 days combined with feeling almost abandoned by his boyfriend, the coyote is desperate for some kind of connection. What kind of things do you see? Brian looks hesitant. I don't want to freak you out more than you already are. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just wondering if maybe we could see similar things. Cameron smiles at him. That seems to throw the bear off for some reason. Huh, well... Then he seems to snap out of it. To be honest, I see people getting killed, usually. Not sure if it's real, like, from the past, or if it ain't. Sometimes it just feels like something being made up. Cameron can understand that feeling. Whose voice did I give to Brian? Mickey Mouse. I plagiarized Mickey Mouse voice. Plagiarism. Do not commit plagiarism. It is illegal. It is illegal. It's illegal and it's illegal and it's very illegal. Oh, bother. No. This isn't Mickey Mouse. This is Michael Mouse. This is Michael Mouse. Oh, bother. Cameron can understand that feeling. Yeah, another wave of weakness and exhaustion. Hatsune Mike. Sorry, I'm still really tired. Cameron slides down the wall to sit again, still feeling out of it. Michael Mouse. But at least he feels somewhat comfortable with this bear now. Makes sense after what you went through. Am I bad? I'm good, just need to catch my breath. He's not quite that comfortable with him. It's going to sound weird too, but I see a ton of stuff in this town, and sometimes it feels made up. Like I saw a UFO, like an alien spaceship above a body today. Brian stares at Cameron. I see. Just as he was beginning to feel comfortable, the coyote feels himself back on edge. Did he say something wrong? I mean, I don't know if it was a UFO, but it looked... You're fine, kid. It's just that I haven't known anyone else that's seen something that I've seen too. It was on that dirt road, right? The circular shape with a bunch of red lights on it? Cameron perks up. There's a little question in his mind now that this bear is definitely like him. Yeah, I'm like... Shit, when did that space shuttle explode? Like, the mid-80s, I think? This time, Brian lets out a little laugh of surprise and maybe a little disbelief as well. 86 to be exact. Damn, that's crazy. I've met a few people like you, but you're on a whole new level, kid. Cameron stares back, briefly wondering if he's still dreaming all of this. It's almost too jarring trying to understand how he ended up here with this bear, but if it is a dream, it's not the worst one. Can you help me find Devon? Maybe you could take me up the road to the highway and we could catch up to him. The bear leans back, scratching his head. I don't know about that, kid. He took off at a good pace, and I'll bet he's probably already reached the highway by now. Probably in the process of alerting the authorities. Cameron twists the hem of his shirt in his paws, feeling a sickening growing knot of worry in the pit of his stomach. He just wants to go, to run and find Devon and escape the town with him. But the threat of what's out there is very real, and Cameron does not want to repeat what happened out there in the forest. And apparently Dev already escaped without him. It makes sense why he had to leave him behind, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Only now are the memories of what happened during his blackout returning, and only now does he remember how it felt being in hell. Can that shadow creature get in here? No, it seems to avoid the trailer. I don't know why. You okay? Cameron rubs his eyes with both paws. I don't know. His increasingly heavy breaths prompts Brian to crouch in front of him, patting his shoulder roughly. Hey, you're fine. I'll make you something, okay? How does some tea sound? That always calms me down. The pats jolt the coyote back to wakefulness, and he nods, if only to get the bear to focus on something other than him. Okay. Great, I'll get started on it then. Just relax for now. The wind whips violently in Devon's face. It's powerful enough that he can barely breathe. The ominous sound of the sirens were really the only thing that guaranteed he'd be home as soon as he possibly could be. He always took their warnings seriously, because what they warned of always terrified him. So now in this haze of pain and horror, he wonders why he didn't heed the warnings. The mile-wide tornadoes that rip across the plains of his home state evoke a primal fear in him that few other things do. He'd felt that fear moments before his world became a red flash of pain, before he saw Artie crumple lifelessly to the ground at the same time a pop echoed through the air, before he was made to drink from the plastic bottle of water that the other bear had brought out of his trailer, and before his paws were tightly bound above his head. As Devon briefly comes to in the red glow of this metal container he's in, the sound of metal chains and the feeling of cramped heat, he knows he should be doing something. He should be helping someone he deeply cares about. Oh, fuck. Devon got kidnapped. Lupita, Artie, Cameron. His voice is rough, dry, and on the verge of breaking. His chest feels as if it's being crushed. Devon sinks back into the darkness even while his mind roils in terror, even as the F5 tornado continues to barrel right toward him. Cameron sits on the table as the bear busies himself near the stovetop with his back to the coyote. Again, the coyote contemplates leaving, either by asking Brian again or just walking out the door. Another glance toward the window confirms Raincoat Monster is still out there, this time standing high in the trees, perched on a branch, still waiting. Cameron quickly looks away again. He feels deep down that if he leaves, another terrible thing is going to happen. While he believes the bear's story about what happened, something about this trailer is extremely uncomfortable, making him feel even more anxious. He thinks that must have something to do with his upbringing, the long, narrow space feeling familiar in the worst ways. It's like suddenly falling ill, and being reminded of all the awful feelings one has when they're especially sick. Meanwhile, Brian is chattering on about how chamomile is particularly effective when it comes to anxiety, and Cameron vaguely wonders why he's moving around so much if he's just making tea. Mostly though, Cameron is trying to think clearly, get his thoughts to line up correctly through the fog he still feels clouding his brain. It's making him extremely tired, and a couple of times the coyote is convinced that he's still dreaming. It's almost like he's high again, but without any of the positives of being high. His anxiety is already calming down, though, despite the worry that whatever was in the forest might have done some damage to his brain. Yeah. Cameron, do a sick as fuck backflip through that skylight, do a sick as hell backflip onto the roof, and then side hop down and backwards long jump all the way to Devon. The forest might have done some kind of damage to his brain. He focuses his thoughts on Devon, trying to think clearly. Would the bear really leave him alone like this? He could have at least left him a message, and to let him know that this is what he wanted, that Cameron is safe in this situation. But Cameron also knows that wouldn't have been all that practical. If Devon really was in a hurry, which he definitely would have been, he would have left him behind if he knew it was for the best and if he knew the situation was safe. There isn't really a way he could have left a message anyway, except for maybe a text, but with no phone and no service. If this Brian guy really wants to help them, though, he should have gone to the highway instead. He has to have a car, right? It's not like he can survive out here in an old trailer. Cameron fixes his face into a pleasant smile, knowing that it seems to set the old bear at ease whenever he did. Have a car? Brian, seemingly absorbed in what he's doing, glances back.
Oh, well, I kind of share a truck with another guy in town. He happens to be out of town with that truck right now. Of course you would be, right?
Oh, okay. Ryan smiles at him again.
I can see why Daniel likes you. You're a friendly kid.
Oh, you mean Devon?
Shit, yeah, the brain doesn't remember things like it used to.
You're fine. Cameron stares at the table, feeling like that exchange was very strange, but started to think through the cloudiness. Despite the dulled anxiety, the feeling is worrying him more and more. I'm actually feeling really weird. I'm so tired.
Well, considering what happened to you, that makes sense. Not to pry, but do you do any drugs?
No, not anymore at least. I mean, I had some weed like hours ago, but that should have worn off by now. Brian shrugs.
People always say weed ain't a big deal, but it's probably what fucked me up the most back when I first tried it.
Cameron listens to the sound of liquid being poured into a cup. Yeah, I don't think I like it. But I shouldn't still be high, right?
You shouldn't, but after my first time smoking, I felt high for fucking years after, even though I wasn't touching stuff.
Cameron feels a prickle of worry underneath the haze. Well, you were doing, like, heroin and meth, Brian. So, like, Shut up. Cameron feels a prickle of worry underneath the haze. Years?
Yep, it's, what it's called, depersonalization. It made me feel like my own paws were my own and everything looked all weird and distorted, like a filter was in front of my eyes.
Cameron vaguely recalled some of his own friends describing the exact same thing, even when their trip was supposed to be over. He experienced it himself while he was under the influence of various dissociatives. Having the same experience while he's supposed to be sober is borderline terrifying, though. Weed does that? His worry and panic breaks through the surface for a second, and he feels like, for that moment, he surfaced from the muddy depths of his confusion before slipping back under. He can't live in a dream for the rest of his life. But what even is his life? Sitting here in a trailer with an old, slightly smelly bear? How did he even get here again? Where's Dev? Oh shit! Cameron suddenly grips the table, paws shaking as if he feels like he's lifted out from his body somehow, and that he has to hold on to something to remain in place.
Hey, you're right, kid. Here,
Brian ambles over to his fridge, opens the freezer, pulls out the ice tray, and drops a few cubes into the mug, the ice clinking loudly. He stirs it for a few moments, then turns back to the trembling coyote.
Hope you don't mind the ice shit, but it should be cool enough to drink now.
Still confused and terrified and just wanting something to focus on, Cameron reaches out for the mug the bear's holding to him. He takes it in a trembling paw, gulping it down. It's filled with honey and the strong taste of ginger, and it's unlike any chamomile tea he's had before. The amount of honey is surprising, and he briefly wonders if it's a bear thing, even though Devon never seemed to have much of an affinity for it. Still, Cameron doesn't get the full flavor of the concoction until he's finished it, and he exhales. An odd, nutty taste mixed with what Cameron can only describe as dirt lingers on the back of his tongue. Cameron frowns at this bizarre, terrible tea. He can't help pulling a face as he looks into the mug, a thick, round glob of honey remaining at the base, while dark particles slowly collect around it. It's distracting enough that his panic attack is terminated before it can really begin. Brian laughs.
Sorry about that. I like to add in kava root to soothe anxiety, too. Should have warned you.
Okay. Why is Brian being nice? Why is Brian being nice? I mean, in Echo, he was a fucking prick. Like, this fucker would just... This fucker had a habit of kidnapping people. The only reason that Chase escaped is by fucking torturing him. The fucker almost shot Chase. And, like... Could it be that he knows that he's going to fucking die soon and he's trying to get right with whatever his god is? Cameron had thought the taste was somehow familiar, but he supposes that any kind of root would have an earthy, bitter taste. Oh, it's okay. Just wasn't expecting it. Heard about kava a few times when I was looking for ways to help with anxiety. Never tried it, though.
Well, get ready for it to change your life. It got me off all my chill pill meds. I do have some leftover bars if you need something stronger, though.
Xanax? I'll wait and see. While that would be nice, Cameron already feels like falling asleep, so it doesn't seem like the best idea. While he mostly believes this bear's story, he doesn't want to be completely unaware of what's happening right now.
I'm guessing you have some experience with it before, huh?
Cameron frowns at the table, not sure what to say. He doesn't really want to discuss his past with the stranger, even if the guy seems like he would understand. Brian puts his paws up, like he's showing that he's unarmed.
Hey, I don't judge, kid. I was into that lifestyle for most of my life before I started turning things around.
While Cameron is still cautious, he doesn't want to make it seem like he's suspicious. It doesn't feel like the best idea to sour things between him and the only other person with him in the middle of the desert. Yeah, I did a bit of everything in middle school and high school. Only thing I got hooked on was opioids, though.
Oof, you're in half the country, kid. That's a rough one.
The tiredness is starting to plateau, if not recede slightly, and Cameron feels an odd but welcome sense of empathy toward this bear. It must be the kava kicking in. Brian's face appears a bit more defined and clear, and there's a warmness in his eyes. It was my first drug, too. I experimented with everything else because I was trying to find something less addictive and harmful. Brian shakes his head.
That's the problem with it. There ain't much out there that makes you feel that good. That's what I'm told anyway.
Brian chuckles.
I took just one of my dad's hydros and ended up puking my guts out for hours. Guess I'm lucky that I can't keep them down.
Cameron thinks about that, about how nice it would have been if he had become violently ill whenever he tried opioids, or any drug for that matter. Yeah, I'd say that's some good luck. I quit in college and haven't done it since, though.
Good for you.
Brian gazes down his nose at Cameron, starting to frown. Cameron's ears twitch as he senses a sudden change in mood.
Now, I don't mean to bring this up again, but did your visions get more intense when you did heroin?
At first, Cameron wants to correct the bear and says that he's never done heroin, but then stops as he thinks back. Of course, his visions got worse whenever he was on certain drugs, including opioids, but he had assumed back then that they were just agitating his already present delusions. It was only today that he'd made the connection between drug usage and hallucinations, or visions. Yeah, actually, a few times on other stuff, too. Does that happen to you?
Definitely.
Again, feelings of empathy grow in the coyote's chest. There are others like him. Just like him. Maybe I'm not going crazy then. Keep going back and forth on that. Brian chuckles a bit.
Well, not normal crazy, right? Anyway, right? Say.
Brian looks carefully at Cameron again, and the coyote is almost distracted by the glow that seems to be emanating from the bear's eyes. Oddly enough, the intensely vivid and defined fur seems to be rippling, as if blowing in the wind, even though they're inside. Is this kava?
You ever tried something more trippy like acid or shrooms?
Cameron shifts uncomfortably at the last word. Yeah, both. Acid was fine, but nothing weird happened. Shrooms just kind of fucked me up, and I saw all kinds of things.
That's too bad. That one can be a real eye-opener.
Oh. Cameron isn't sure what else to say, feeling just a bit uncomfortable again.
But yeah, most drugs make you see more things. Only ones that don't are stems. That's why so many people here got into meth.
Brian chuckles again, but this time it sounds a bit dark, sinister even.
Only problem with that is meth still makes you see shit, but only because it makes you go crazy.
Arches and half circles. Yeah. Cameron looks back down at the table. He wonders about his mother again, and if maybe she was like him. Maybe she took the stimulants because she was just trying to stop the visions, but ended up starting a wave of hallucinations and delusions instead. Cameron watches the wood grain on the table shift and move slightly, like waves on an ocean. Ah, fuck. And then it hits him. God damn it, Cameron. God damn it, Cameron. It hits him hard. The aftertaste of the tea, why it was familiar, why things are moving in inexplicable ways, why everything is feeling more fucked up by the second. He's been here before. A moment seems to blank out of existence from Cameron's memory because the next thing he knows, he's already standing up, the chair sliding back behind him. He stares at Brian with wide eyes, mouth open, but he can't seem to say anything. He can't think of what to say if the bear did what he thinks he did. Brian stares back, watching Cameron carefully in a way that tells the coyote that the bear isn't surprised at all by this reaction. That makes Cameron even more afraid. The coyote, dreaming lightly of the trailer, becomes more ominous, red and dangerous, and the bear in front of him seems to warp. Oh shit. Into a demon. No, 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 no! What did you give me? Cameron looks wildly into the coffee mug. You need to calm down. Understand? What did you give me? I think you already know the answer to that. So why don't you sit down and get it together? Hang on, did I? Yeah, it's EQ'd. The bear's face is so warped, but Cameron honestly can't tell if it's real or not. What is it? Was it a psilocybin? Did you drug me with shrooms? Brian says nothing, and he's right that Cameron knows. He could never forget this feeling. Oh my god, why? It ruined my life. Cameron is heaving for breath, the sounds of his gasping almost drowning the bear out. Sit down and I'll explain. But Cameron has no intention of sitting down. The sensations and visuals are just as bad as the last time, if not worse. And he's only at the beginning. The fear and panic reach a dizzying level, and Cameron is running around the table for the door. Then he's on his back, his chest, spine, and the back of his head aching. Brian is on top of him, and Cameron is on his back. He can see the coffee mug shattered on the ground a few feet away. Cameron struggles, wheezing for breath. Let me go, I can't breathe! Brian responds by squeezing his arms tighter, leaning more weight on Cameron's torso. Stop, I'm sorry. He doesn't even know what he's apologizing for, just hoping that maybe it'll get the bear to stop.
And I thought you were cute when you were smiling.
That statement, for whatever reason, is the scariest part of what's happening right now. He starts to scream for the only person he can think of right now. Devon, help me! Devon! Devon!
Shut the fuck up.
Brian sounds legitimately disgusted as he pulls himself off of Cameron. The coyote prepares to scream again, but sees Brian's foot lash out and kick him in the side, sending him up against the base of the counter. Then, leaning over him with both of his giant paws on the edge of the counter, he starts kicking Cameron over and over. Cameron yelps and wheezes. The blow's hard enough that he's worried the bear's definitely going to break something if he hasn't already. He thrashes and rolls, trying to escape. Then, one kick catches him particularly hard at the base of his sternum, and he violently curls up, a loud frog-like croaking noise escaping his throat. Brian pauses as the sounds continue emanating from Cameron's mouth. Cameron can hear the bear breathing heavily over him as Brian watches his agonized writhing, almost like he's fascinated by it. After nearly a minute, the terrible noises turn back to gasps, which then turn into sobs as Cameron stays curled up on his side, one arm around his midsection while the other is pressed over his eyes. Brian doesn't move, just watching as Cameron cries on the floor. At first, Cameron thinks it might be better to just keep his eyes closed and try to disappear into the darkness. Maybe wake up again, but in a new place this time. Anywhere seems better than here. But that's when odd, slightly curved, glowing red lines begin expanding and shrinking behind his eyelids, and Cameron whines at the terrible reminder of what's going to happen. He's going to trip, and it's going to be terrible. Cameron pulls his paw away from his eyes and finds that what he sees isn't much better. The huge bear's crouched in front of him, his fur now a writhing, pulsating mass of a thing that almost seems like another living creature covering the bear.
Listen, what you do next is going to determine what's going to happen to you.
This is a dream. It has to be a dream. Everything that's happened, not just in this trailer, but in this whole town, it has to be a dream, a hallucination, a trick. This can't be happening.
I need you to talk to some folks I used to know. If you're really one of those psychics, if you can fix my problems, I'll let you go like nothing happened.
Cameron? Devon comes to again and he blurts out the name without thinking. He's not sure how long it's been since the last time he woke up. It feels like hours, possibly even days since he was last conscious. He'd been dreaming. Something about insects crawling and biting his arms. And tornadoes. A twisting force. He realizes then that his arms are what brought him back to the waking world. They'd fallen asleep and now the tingling is so bad that it feels like they're covered in crawling, writhing ants made of molten lead. The bear grunts in discomfort and tries to bring them down from above his head, but he isn't able to. They come up short and he hears a rattling sound close to his ears, which twitch at the loudness. Chains? Devon freezes, keeping his eyes closed, unsure if whoever did this to him is close by. Although it's hard to think through all of the haziness, the memories come back to him rather quickly. First, he remembers walking deeper into the woods before the strange bear went into his trailer to get something. He came out with a bottle of water, claiming it was for Cameron. Then, after walking further into the dense forest, they come upon a white van. The exact kind of van that would make most people suspicious. Devon did become more suspicious, but by that time it was already too late. The old bear had pulled a gun on them, one that wasn't his shotgun, and told them both to get in the van. Artie started to run, and the other bear didn't hesitate to shoot him, aiming for his head. Devon isn't sure, but he could swear he saw a spray of something, whether it be fur, blood, or worse, fan out from the back of Artie's head before he dropped. Devon's fingers and toes clench inward as he thinks about that moment. The sound. The suddenness of it. But mostly, he remembers the way Artie fell. It was instant, like strings that held him up had been cut, crumpling so quickly that Devon is sure that he'd been killed. At that point, Devon did everything the old bear had told him to, including laying Cameron on the rough desert floor. Devon tries to keep from whining as he wonders if that might be the last time he saw Cameron. and then laid down in the van and letting him bind his arms up. He thought about fighting back in that moment, but it was so quick that before he knew it, he was secured and was made to drink from the bottle. Now he's in the very center of the tornado. A twisting force. Devon clenches his eyes shut even tighter, feeling moisture gather at the corners. Around the point is equal to force times distance, but he opens them a moment later, realizing that his captor would have seen all the movements he'd made. Perpendicular to force. He's alone in the van. His eyes sting and the bear realizes that he's sweating heavily. This metallic box he's stuck in is hot, almost overwhelmingly stifling. He worries for a moment that he slept through the night and now it's sunrise and he's about to cook to death in this van. But after gauging light, he decides it's still around sunset, just a few hours after what had happened. After Artie had been killed. Shit. Devon squeezes his eyes shut again, feeling tears leak out and onto the moist fur on his cheeks. He allows himself this moment, but quickly focuses again, knowing Cameron is still out there with that bear. That's enough to get a rise from Devon, one that builds into a wave in his chest. A combination of adrenaline and terror, but mostly fury. While the brutality of this backwoods bear evokes fear in Devon, it also makes him angry that anyone would feel that they have the right to do what the old bear did. He opens his eyes again and takes in his surroundings. He's lying flat on his back, arms stretched above his head. He can feel that it's a pair of handcuffs that are holding him in place. There's enough give that slowly he's able to turn over on his stomach. The action is incredibly painful, and Devon can't help but grunt loudly, his arms feeling like they might fall off as they spasm. Slowly, painfully, he pulls himself into a kneeling position, getting a better look at his predicament. He realizes then that these handcuffs are more like shackles, meant to hold bear-sized creatures like himself in place. They're bolted into the floor of the van. Devon glances up suddenly, his ears catching what sounds like a faint cry outside the van. Cameron? We're gonna stop a bit for the ads. You want to break from the ads? Do your no ads dance. That was aggressive. Cameron? Devon's voice comes out hoarse and cracked once more. Was that Cameron? It sounded like him. Devon is still groggy from whatever was in that bottle of water, but he's sure he heard the distinct sound of his boyfriend's voice. The fact that it's now so suddenly absent convinces Devon that it was definitely Cameron. He strains to listen for several more seconds but can't hear anything. He looks down at the heavy chain linking the metal cuffs around his wrists. Unbreakable. Still, he finds himself foolishly yanking at the shackles, hoping there's be some kind of give in the slightly rusted chain and bolts. Shit. Tears fill Devon's eyes, the feeling of failing forever returning. He'd felt this way only a few times before, first time being when he was running home after he'd found Lupita's body. Last time being when he saw Arturo getting shot. And now, knowing that his boyfriend could be at the mercy of this bear whose intentions Devon can't even begin to guess. He just knows that they're horrific. But seeing the faces of those people, it changes something in Devon. A cool, icy calm descends on him, and he looks at the chains carefully. His classes in physics had taught him all about the way in which forces exerted can seemingly accomplish things that seem impossible. So even while his heart hammers in his ears, and even while his brain is clouded with the dense fog of sedation, Devon analyzes the chain and the bolts holding it in place. Torque. We're going to leave off here tonight. I imagine the next stream will be the last one. So I'm just preparing. So far, this isn't sending me into a depression. So I don't know. Anyways, as soon as I find it, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow. It's actually my first time reading it.